Well, this is June and we're back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast. Let's get right into it. First, we have Become Ungovernable announced as LNC theme for next year, and I think that's a good theme, I would say. It's definitely an ethos I try and live by. Don't let the man keep you down. If you think something's wrong, you should be, I think autism kind of helps with being ungovernable, just kind of seeing all the rules as arbitrary as long as you're not hurting anyone else, just go your own way, just don't do things that you don't think you should be forced to do, I would say, that's my thoughts there. So let's see what we have next. Next we have, Mom pleads guilty to abortion after Meta gives DMs to cops from theregister.com by Muad Dib. And I think that's just to show you, the big tech companies, and all the big corporations are just going to give all their due to the government if they ask for it, and they'll do whatever the government says. It's like the Twitter files, the Twitter files, they said, oh, please take this down, and they did, and then Twitter did that, so that's the thing, the government is naturally in bed with all these corporations, and that's why I would say the U.S. is a very corporatist country, and that's why I think we gotta get rid of these big government and all these big corporations and have them just stay by themselves. Study finds that intelligence is associated with economically extreme views from ScienceDirect.com by Rude My Circle Jerk. And I think that is, intelligence is associated, I would say, with being willing to question narrative. I would kind of agree there. The thing is, everyone these days, you can't question the narrative and be seen as intelligent by a lot of people. But I think you should be able to think for. I think someone who's intelligent is someone who thinks for themselves and isn't afraid to say what they believe in. So that's my thoughts there. Great Moments in Unintended Consequences 12, Volume 12 by Reason TV. I posted that, and I said, yeah, it's a good video because, a lot of people think, oh, all these policies, the government policies are good because they have good intentions. Well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that's why I really like this series from Reason. It shows that, unintended consequences come from a lot of government policies. Then we have the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. From Connor Boyock on Twitter, and I posted that one. I said, or as I like to say, control the narrative, control the people. No matter how much of an independent thinker you think you are, there is always someone pulling the strings behind what you believe. And we have the Trevor Project is union busting from International Silver One. The cross post from the r/Ainbo subreddit. And yeah, I definitely would say, I think, that's just when economic policies contrast with the identity politics policies. So I would say, I wish you could see, I'm glad there's a lot of left returns saying one of the largest LGBT charities needs to come for union busting. Definitely, you could apply that to the rest of the mega corporations. That would be great. Because I also see a lot of people on the left defend megacorps like Disney and Target when the right goes after them for culture war reasons. Whereas the left should be aware that their economic views are much more popular than their social culture views currently, I would say. Because, they don't want to bully... They want to bully all these cultural standards onto you, and that's not really too popular. And we have Farmers Insurance flees Florida, impacting 100,000 policyholders. Bud Light Insurance official says fourth major insurance provider relief from FoxBusiness.com by Clorox. I think that has more to do with the hurricane reasons, but everything's culture war these days. So, that's what's gonna be marketed as, I would say. So that's my thoughts there. Everything's just gonna be marketed as culture war these days. And the culture war, the thing is that they just want to divide the proletariat and have them fight each other because they don't want them fighting the elites, and that's something that is important to remember. Then we have Republicans were reasonable before Trump, and it's the link to the video that Randall Terry made back in 2009, I think it was, when he was Obama in front when he was dressed up in an Obama mask in front of the White House and said, "Oh, the taxpayers need to pay for an abortion." He had the taxpayer on the chain, and she paid the money, and then they boarded the guy and the doctor. He has lots of characters. It's very funny. But I said, yeah, Ronald Terry, he was a Republican when he made it, but now he's independent currently. Uh, you know, um, so the thing is that the thing is, social media is always going to show all the crazies. That's why I think it's everything's so politically toxic right now. So hopefully we eventually do get everyone just can be as crazy as they want. But yeah, I like what this Ace Bluff says here. I hate to say shit. We need to stop looking at the worst people and taking them to be represented the whole group. Some random masculine girl in the middle of the street and the indication everyone's being hit. People, blue hair, screeching, controllably approaches as a representative of Democrats. Well, that's social media for you. The craziest will always be the representative of the people, I would say. And that's something that you're seeing a lot these days. So that's, I guess, we'll see how that goes. Then we have Mississippi Attorney General wants info on out-of-state abortions, gender-affirming care from MississippiFreePress.org. Blah, blah, blah. I would agree that's kind of an overstep of power. I don't think the government should have any information on file, I would say, because they could abuse any information they have. That's why I don't know if we should give them anything. That's why I don't believe in stuff like driver's licenses or birth certificates or pretty much anything. I don't think the government should have any data on you. RFK Jr. says COVID was ethnically targeted to spare Jews, and another anti-Semitic conspiracy theory comes out of this lunatic. He is who we thought he was. And then White Post by Chi-Town 20. And I would agree, RFK Jr. is kind of a grifter, but with biological warfare, like COVID might have been planned to be, I think, it could have been, biologically designed to come after the bodily function, because some people have some races have different DNA structures from other races, not like in a racist way, but like how black people are more likely to have stuff like sickle cell anemia. I think it could be designed in that way. That's so I personally think this is a bit crazy, but I wouldn't consider it 100% out of the question, I would say. And his response on Twitter was, what was RFK Jr.'s response on Twitter? He said, "The My Post story is mistaken. I've never even suggested that the COVID-19 virus was targeted to spare Jews. I accurately pointed out during the on-off-the-record conversation that the U.S. and other governments are developing ethnically targeted bioweapons, and that the 2021 study of the COVID-19 virus shows that the COVID-19 appears to be disproportionately affect certain races, since the Fear-and-Cleave docking studies more compatible with blacks and Caucasians and less compatible with ethnic Chinese, Finns, and Ashkenazi Jews. In that sense, it serves as a kind of proof of concept for ethnically targeted bioweapons. I do not believe it ever implied that the ethnic effect was deliberately engineered." Well, of course, I bet you would want to try and describe that, but yeah, so that's that. Veterans leave Florida State Guard after realizing it's just fascist capitalist Ron's Sturmbeltlung from TamPay.com by Chi-Town 20. I think press crossover from the majority support report subreddit. And, I think, veterans, and it's also where is it from originally? It's TamPay.com, yeah, we got that. So I think, veterans should be able to leave whatever, the government desert or leave whenever they want, but that's the thing with veterans. Like the soldiers are just kind of like police; they're just kind of errand boys for the regime, and that's why I don't know if I'd ever join the military. I wanted to in the past, but now it's kind of like, especially if they want to send you to fight in Ukraine and Russia, with the Atlantic Resolve saying, "Oh, we got to send as many people there as possible," if they're on off duty, even if they're off duty currently. So that's the thing is, they currently want to send you all the way to Russia, and yeah, it's not going to be too fun. So I don't know if I want to join, especially to be an errand boy for the military-industrial complex, the unelected bureaucrats, and the grifter politicians. The libertarian perspective here is that some things are deadly, and as long as you are not hurting anyone else, you should be able to do them. And that's extra crosswords from the 2 TL already made. And I said it was TTIL, 2 to 3 people died each year on average in TTIL man motorcycle race since 1947. There was only 1 year when the race knocked someone's death. So I think that would be I would personally want to do that race. But if you want to do the race and end up killing yourself, you should be able to. Because we're all gonna die one day. You just can't make death illegal. So you might as well try and ride it out, go as wild as possible. So that's my thoughts there. Democrats third party rules grow from thehill.com. And I said the Dems need to stop blaming third parties, Russia, racism, sexism, etc. for why people aren't voting for them. Maybe they should take responsibility and say they were responsible for their own losses. That people taking responsibility in politics, I correct myself sometimes. The thing is, the Republicans will never take responsibility for the lose because they feel entitled to the votes and entitled to all the other positions because they control the narrative and they just say, "Oh, we're entitled," So that's why I would say, that's why they're so worried about getting about it's always third parties rigged this election. The Democrats aren't entitled to third party votes, and I think if they do lose, it's ultimately their fault to blame. Same with the Republicans, but they'll never take responsibility. That's kind of that's we live in a culture that really doesn't care for stuff like personal responsibility. It's really, really sad, I would say. Don't treat anything as inevitable in politics. That's what I would say. Higher levels of childhood intelligence predict increased support for economic conservatism in adulthood from ScienceDirect.com by Ruin My Circle Jerk. And, I think, if you want to say that, I think you should be able to say that, but, everyone's going to have their own agenda and, most studies to agree with whoever's funding them. So I personally would say economic conservatism is probably the wiser position than economic liberalism. But I'd say everyone does have an agenda. It's important to remember that. Really sad to see another federal agency go woke from Battle Beagle on Twitter, and I posted that, and that was he quote tweeted Kenny at Gaslight Your Mom. Who said, "Imagine going to the KKK crossbar and getting asked what your pronouns are," and that was a speech from he showed a screenshot of an article. John Abar, Klan leader of Montana, is going even further. Last week, Abar said his newly formed Klan group, the Rocky Mountain Knights, would not discriminate on the basis of race or sexual orientation. The KKK is for a strong America. Abar told a local newspaper, "White supremacy is the old Klan. This is the new Klan." I said, "The KKK is diversity hiring now. What a world we live in." And hence Moss, are you admitting that KK is federal agency? Yes, pretty much all the Proud Boys / Antifa groups are federal entrapment. It's all federal entrapment. And it's just going to show you that we live in a world where even the KKK is going woke. So what's coming next? It's just the woke. It's like you can't question all. People we're stored up for people these days. You question the DNC narrative. You might as well be a Nazi or KKK. So that's how the bad things are getting. When it comes to you're not allowed to question the narrative. When Trump was president, D's and R's in Congress overwhelmingly passed and Trump signed into law legislation to prohibit the sale and transfer of high-value cluster munitions. Now that Biden's presidency's horrific weapons which may even kill civilians are suddenly okay again. From Justin Amash on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, life is much easier when you figure out that the only standards most people have are double. Most people are sheep, and the narrative is the shepherd. And if Trump, I also shared the tweet where Biden was sniffing the young girl, and he said if Trump did this, it would be the worst thing ever. But people don't care since it's Biden. It's all double standards. Cluster munitions, they would be the worst thing ever if this was, especially if they were used for like mass shootings. AR-15s are the worst thing ever, but. Now we're giving it to Ukraine. They're a lot more deadly when it comes to unintentional deaths than AR-15s, but the TV says they're good. So that's people say go along with whatever the narrative is. Kamala, when we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water. Reduce population. I don't know what emoji that is from Greg Bryce on Twitter, and I posted that and I said. Kamala being a little too open with the agenda there. They say, you might have misspoken and meant pollution instead, but you never know. you never know. They do say they want to really just get rid of all the people because, and that's something I think that's why you're seeing a lot of people putting. Maybe that's why they're pushing all the narrative for people to just just not procreate, just get abortions, just to be like LGBTQ, so they don't have any kids. I wouldn't be 100% surprised that's their agenda. Breaking at Newsweek poll finds that plurality of millennials think misgendering should be legal. This is batshit insane and obviously unconstitutional, and criminalizing offensive speech is opening a Pandora's box and inevitably means you will be censored too. From Brad Palumbo on Twitter. I posted that and I said, scary stuff. I don't think you should be a jerk, but I don't think it should be illegal to be one. Study finds that support for welfare distribution and government regulation of the economy is correlated with lower intelligence from My Circle Jerk from that journalist.sagepub.com. And of course, they have their agenda when it comes to all that what they want. But I do think if you feel entitled to other people's resources, you probably are more of a less intelligent person, I would say, because you're feeling you shouldn't feel entitled to anything, and you have to survive on your own skills. Sometimes it can be hard, like if you're like me, autistic as hell like me, but I get through, and we all just try and get through, yeah. So then we have Joe Rogan on LA's issue of homelessness. Maybe you should just go shoot the homeless people, said Rogan, from meall.com by Whittling Dan. And, yeah, I would say that, don't let context get in the way of the good narrative. He was just talking about, how lawless LA was, but of course, they're going to market that as, Joe Rogan just was saying, oh, we gotta kill everyone who disagrees, so, yeah, that was across Western News of the stupid subreddit, so we'll see. Fellas, is a fascist want to date someone for good family from QAnhead, and that was how people on Twitter, Twitter and Reddit are calling people QAnhead a fascist because she likes that her boyfriend has a good relationship with his mother. I said, fascism was when you question the official Reddit / Twitter narrative at all, left narrative at all. There's more for you to do, so the faster it is. Then we have Ohio Republicans in your bedroom from Chi-Town 20, and that's just a Democratic campaign ad with Ohio Republican in the bedroom from the Majority Report, so yeah, of course that's just, it's all, social media is all propaganda, I would say. Pretty much everything's propaganda at this point. It's always has been, I would say, too. Then we have actor Jim Caviezel claims liberal elites drink the blood of infants, also stating, I believe Donald Trump was elected by God Almighty, and I'm talking about the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit God. Caviezel said, these are mainstream Republicans from RawStory.com by never by Chi-Town 20. And, there are a lot of nuts people out there on the right and left, and, your social media kind of amplifies their voices as much. I do like how he's kind of fighting against human trafficking, but, he is kind of nut job. We're all kind of nut jobs at this point, I would say, especially with social media, and I think it's only going to get worse as time goes on. So I think we're going to see if anything new is posted. We're going to wrap up there, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.